Hello everyone, and welcome to my YNR official 24 channel. Nick talked to Jack. Got him to give up Matt Clark. Sally made Billy tell the truth about meeting Kane. He said Kane offered him Chancellor and did not want anything in return. Sally found this hard to believe. Billy told her it was true. Sally asked how Kane got Chancellor. Billy did not want to talk about it where other people could hear. Sally wanted to stay at Crimson Lights. Sally and Billy were at Crimson Lights when this happened. Nick and Jack and Matt Clark and Kane were all part of this. Sally was surprised that Kane had Chancellor to offer to Billy. Billy was happy that Kane offered him Chancellor with no strings attached. Sally still had a lot of questions about how Kane got Chancellor. Billy said he had just learned about it. He was telling her the truth. He did not hide anything from her. Sally said to Billy that they had just started Abbott Communications, and the way he was acting made her wonder if he really cared about their company. Billy did not think it was a deal, but that is how Sally felt. She got up, walked away from the table thinking about all the reasons she could not trust Billy. Sally said to Billy that he was not honest about himself about them and about why they were with each other. Sally and Billy went home so they could talk in private. Sally wanted Billy to know that she was not being too sensitive and that her feelings were important to him. Billy made Sally sit down on the couch, told her that he had not said yes to Kane's offer. Billy thought it was necessary to talk to Sally before he made any decision about what to do with Chancellor. Sally found it hard to understand why Kane would give something to Billy when Kane had said that he did not trust Billy. Sally was confused about Kane and Billy and Chancellor, and she wanted to know what was going on with Chancellor and why Kane was involving Billy with Chancellor. Sally was counting on Billy at Abbott Communications. She really needed to know what Billy was thinking. At that moment, Sally thought Billy would definitely say yes to Kane's offer. Billy should just forget about his fights. Sally did not want Billy to get into trouble with Victor again. Billy thought that he would have to deal with Victor someday. He believed that it was going to happen no what. So Billy figured, what is the point of trying to avoid it? Sally thought that Billy just wanted to get at Victor. She believed that this was Billy's reason for doing things, not anything else. Sally thought that Billy's desire for revenge on Victor was very strong. She thought that Billy had to show Jill he was good enough. Billy did not think Jill had faith in Billy and the people around him. So Sally decided to act like she was hurt because of her son. Sally said to Billy, "We all care about you much. At the same time, we have a feeling that if you take Kane's offer and do what he wants, you will be making a huge mistake, the biggest one you have ever made." Billy was not worried about what Jill would think or say about Billy. Billy felt like his mother was always telling him what to do. He said he did not care. Sally did not think that was true. Billy got mad at Sally because he thought she was stopping him from getting what he wanted. Sally was tired of waiting for Billy to make up his mind about working with their media company. She had a business to run. Billy not being sure was causing problems. Sally told Billy to do what he thought was right. Before she left their apartment, she made it clear how she felt about Billy and his commitment to their media company, the media company. Taking Kane's offer would make her really unhappy. Michael talked to Victor on the phone from Society. Victor told him that Kane and Phyllis took Newman. Diane sat down with Michael. He was drinking to forget his problems. They talked for a bit. Then Diane asked Michael if he knew anything about Victor's fight with Jabot. She really wanted to know what happened. Michael told her that Victor had things to worry about right now. Kane's offer and what Kane and Phyllis did to Newman were not Victor's concerns. Diane was curious about Kane and Phyllis and what they did to Newman. Diane was really curious about what was going on with Victor. She wanted to know what problems Victor had that would make him stop fighting against Jack. Michael did not want to tell her any more than he already had. Diane understood why Michael did not want to talk about it. She wanted to know for sure that Victor was not a threat anymore. Michael finally told her what was going on. He said that the artificial intelligence program had attacked Newman Enterprises and it had really hurt the company. It had attacked from the inside, caused a lot of damage. Diane now knew that Victor had a problem with the artificial intelligence program. The artificial intelligence program was a threat to Newman Enterprises and Victor was trying to deal with it. Diane said that Jack and Kyle tried to work out a deal with Victor. But then they got a text message that was really important. It was about Newman. That is why the deal did not happen. Michael wanted to know more about what they were going to trade. Diane did not think that was important to talk about. Diane thought that Victor could use what is happening to him now to think about what he did wrong. She thought that of learning from his mistakes, Victor would probably come back and be even more powerful and harsh than he was before. Diane figured that Victor would do whatever it takes to get on top, and that is what worried her about Victor. Diane was really sure that Kane and Phyllis were behind the attack. Michael did not say that was not true. She knew that Michael already knew about Kane and Phyllis being responsible for the attack. Diane wanted Phyllis to be taught a lesson for good, even though Michael was friends with Phyllis. At the Abbott mansion, Jack and Kyle were talking about Victor's decision to let them take care of Matt. Victor usually did not let people who could hurt his family just walk away. He always kept an eye on people like that, so this was very surprising. Diane thought that Kane and Phyllis were news, and she wanted them to pay for what they did. Something big was going on. It had their main enemy really busy. Diane was trying to get information out of Michael. Jack did not think Michael would do anything to make Victor angry. Victor was the one person everyone seemed to fear. Kyle just did not get why people were so worried about what Victor thought. Victor was a person who did not care about others, but lots of people let him do whatever he wanted. Jack and Kyle were talking about starting Jabot up. Then Nick showed up at their door. Said, "I am saving my family." Nick was at the place for one reason. That was to get Matt Clark back. He wanted to know if the Abbott men knew what Matt Clark had done to the Newmans. They did not know everything. Jack talked about trying to use Matt Clark to make Victor stop fighting him and Jabot. Nick told Jack that he had to give Matt Clark to him because Matt Clark was a lot more dangerous than they thought. Jack might have thought that Matt Clark was safe. Matt Clark was really good at getting away. Kyle and Jack did not want to change their minds. They said they would only give Matt Clark to Nick if the AI program was gotten rid of. Nick knew why Kyle and Jack felt this way, so he told them that Victor was not thinking about Jabot all. Kyle and Jack told Nick about what they thought was going on with Phyllis and Kane, and it turned out they were right. Nick needed Kyle and Jack to see how much danger Matt Clark was really in. Matt is really obsessed with hurting Nick and Sharon. He does not care who gets hurt, people like Nikki, Claire, and Harrison. Nick was in a lot of pain. Jack said he could get him some medicine to help. Nick was so angry that he yelled at Jack. Nick felt a little better, and he decided to make a deal with the Abbotts. The deal is that they get Matt back, and in return they will leave Victor alone. Nick and the Abbotts will work together to make this happen, just like they tried to do with Victor and Jabot. Nick got to Sharon's house, grabbed a few things, and left really fast before Noah could figure out who it was. Nick came back a while after that, and he had Matt in the trunk of his car. Noah ran outside to see what his father was doing. That is when he saw Matt. He asked Nick if Matt was dead. Noah really wanted Nick to tell him what he was going to do with Matt. If they weren't going to turn him over to the authorities, he had a lot of questions about Nick's intentions. Sally walks out on Billy. Matt Clark ends up in the trunk of car. Sally is really upset at Crimson Lights because Kane offered Chancellor to Billy. Billy wants to talk about this at home. Sally is furious. She says they just started a media company together, and now Billy is already thinking about leaving her for this thing. Sally feels stupid for trusting Billy. Billy says he just found out about the offer, and that is why he wants to talk about it at home. Sally does not believe Billy because she thinks he is already giving up on their media company. Sally thinks her boyfriend is cheating on her. She knows he is not telling the truth. He left her a note that said he was going for a run. She is sure he was meeting Kane instead. Sally says he is lying to her and to himself about what's going on with him and Kane. At Society, Michael is talking to Victor on the phone. Victor tells Michael that Kane and Phyllis were behind the attack on Newman. Then Diane shows up. Asks Michael what Victor plans to do to Jabot. Michael does not think that will happen soon. Victor has problems at the moment. Michael and Victor argue when Michael will not tell Victor what is going on with him. Diane needs to know for sure that Jabot is safe. Michael says to Diane in a voice, "You did not hear this from me," and then he tells her that the artificial intelligence program turned against the person who was using it. Diane says that Jack thought that might be what happened, and she tells Michael about the time she and Jack went to the ranch with Matt Clark. Michael and Victor have a lot of issues. Michael is not going to talk about his problems with Victor. Diane is certain that Victor is panicking now because Arabesque was destroyed in just a few days by the AI. She thinks that Victor is getting what he deserves and she is happy about it. Then Michael sticks up for his boss Victor and Diane cannot believe it. She thinks that this will just make Victor want revenge more. Diane is sure that Kane is the one who did something to Victor. Michael says that is only true if Kane was working by himself. Diane figures out that Phyllis is also involved in this. Now Victor will be angry, with Phyllis too. He will want to get back at her. This really makes her happy. At the Abbott house, Kyle tells Jack that Jabot is doing okay now. They talk about how Victor got really upset when he got that text message. Then he told them to leave with Matt Clark. Jack says that Diane is meeting with Michael to see if she can find out what is going on. Then they start talking about Claire. Kyle says he has been so busy with Jabot that he has not had time to think about Claire. While they are talking about getting Jabot to normal, Nick shows up at the house. Jack wants to know why Nick is out of the hospital. Nick looks at him angrily. Says, I am doing this to save my family. Jack gets Nick to sit down in a chair. Nick tells him that he is there because of Matt Clark. Jack asks Nick if he had something to do with Noah's accident. Nick says it is a story. Jack knows that they have a lot of problems to deal with now. Nick is very upset. Says he just needs to know that Matt Clark is safe. He also says that he wants them to give Matt Clark to him now. Kyle says that Matt is the thing that can be used against Victor, and the things he is saying he will do. They told Victor he has to make a decision by the morning. Nick is worried that Matt is not being held like they think he is. Jack will not give Matt to them until he gets the intelligence. Nick thinks that Victor is not even thinking about Jabot, it is the thing on his mind. Jack and Nick do not agree on what to do about Victor saying he will hurt Jabot. The Abbotts are trying to figure out what is happening with the Newmans. People think that Kane and Phyllis might use the AI program against Newman. Nick gets really upset. Starts yelling about Matt Clark. He says Matt Clark is a person who can hurt the people they care about like Nikki and Claire and even Harrison. Jack says that Victor can stop all this by accepting their offer. Nick warns that Matt Clark is very good at getting and that they are putting people in danger. Nick says, I am the one who is going to stop Matt Clark for good, and he is very angry. People start arguing about the Abbotts. If they can really keep Matt Clark under control. Nick is getting more and more upset and angry. His pain is getting worse. Jack tells Kyle to go get some medicine for Nick. Nick says, I do not need that. He says, just give Matt Clark to me. If they give Matt Clark to him, he promises that he will not let anyone attack Jabot. At his house, Billy tells Sally that he has not said yes to Kane's offer. Billy says he needed to talk to Sally about it. When Sally asks Billy, he tells her that Ashby has attacked Newman Enterprises. Sally does not believe Billy when he says that Kane is offering him Chancellor because he is a person. Billy tells Sally that he is being careful and does not totally believe the story. This is all an idea for now. Sally wants to know what Billy will do if Kane is really offering him Chancellor. She asks Billy if he is going to take the offer. Billy wants to know what Sally thinks about this. Sally says that Billy already knows what he is going to do. He tells Sally that she will not be left alone. Sally is worried because they already decided that he needs to stop fighting for good. Billy says that Victor will always try to hurt him no matter what he does. He thinks that they will always have problems with Victor. Then Billy tries to make Sally see that this could be really good for them. He says that they can be the important couple in Genoa City. Sally does not like this idea at all. She says to him that this is about him getting revenge against his mother. They have a fight about why she gave money to Abbott Communications. Sally does not think it is an idea that he thinks Kane will just give him Chancellor without wanting anything in return. Billy says that if she really does not want him to do this, he will listen to her. Sally has a feeling that if he says yes to this offer, he will be doing something that he will really regret, something that will be the biggest mistake that Billy has ever made. Sally thinks that Billy is going to do what Billy wants to do, and he does not care about what other people think. Billy is going to do what he wants. Everyone else can just deal with it. Outside Sharon's house, Nick is walking up to a box. He is limping. Nick puts some rope and other things into a bag. Then, he takes the bag into the house. The house is really quiet. Nick gets some tea towels from a drawer. Then he goes outside. Noah comes down the stairs. He says, "Hello, who's there?" Noah sees Nick getting into his car. Nick opens the trunk of his car, and Noah catches up with him. Matt Clark is inside the trunk. He is tied up, not awake. Noah is really mad at his dad for leaving the hospital. Nick tells Noah to go. Noah asks Nick if Matt Clark is dead. At their house, Sally talks to Billy. Sally thinks Billy is right. They should not mix work and personal life. Sally has a media company. She needs to know if Billy is going to leave her alone, with all the work. Sally is certain that he decided what he wanted to do soon as Kane made him the offer. It hurts Sally that her opinion does not matter to him. Sally picks up her things, tells him that if he accepts the offer, Sally will not be happy. At the Abbott house, Jack tells Kyle that he trusts Nick because Nick made a good argument for handing Matt Clark over to him. Nick is the person who deserves to put an end to this situation. Diane walks in just as Jack is saying that he thinks the Newman family is being attacked. She can confirm Victor is fighting to save his legacy. Given Michael's her source, Jack warns they can't afford to let their guard down. Diane wants to get Jabot back online. Jack assures her they will, when it's safe. Outside Sharon's, Noah and Nick argue heatedly. Noah wants to turn Matt over to the GCPD. Nick says no. Noah demands to know what his father plans to do with Matt Clark. Nick Newman steps into the eye of the storm and does the unbelievable, prevailing his longtime rival Jack Abbott to surrender Matt Clark, a move that shakes Genoa City to its core and redraws the lines between fidelity, justice, and survival, because from the veritably first moment Nick confronts Jack, the air crackles with undetermined history and raw urgency, Nick knowing that time is running out and that Matt's web of falsehoods, blackmail, and violence is about to consume everyone it touches, while Jack, torn between guarding his family, his company, and his own heart, braces himself against Nick's grim sense and emotional appeal, the discussion unfolding not as a simple demand but as a layered concession erected on participated scars, collective adversaries, and the haunting mindfulness that Matt Clark is far more dangerous than either of them originally believed. As Nick lays out the substantiation piece by piece, calmly but with a slightly subdued fury, detailing how Matt manipulated situations from the murk, exploited sins, and played important men against each other, how his conduct touched off a chain response of chaos involving Phyllis, Adam, and indeed Victor, and how every moment Matt remains free increases the threat of unrecoverable tragedy, Jack originally pushing back, criminating Nick of insincerity and questioning his motives, reminding him of all the times the Newmans bent the rules and escaped consequences. But Nick doesn't flinch, rather admitting those sins openly, admitting that the Newman heritage is stained with miscalculations and moral negotiations, yet averring that this time must be different, that Matt cannot be bargained with or controlled, only stopped, as the weight of Nick's words begins to sink by and Jack's confident surface starts to fracture, flashes of recent horrors crossing his mind, Phyllis's shaken state, the constant pitfalls brewing over Jabot, the creeping fear that Matt knows too important and cares too little about collateral damage, while Nick presses harder, revealing that law enforcement is closing in, that substantiations are arising, and that if Jack does and act now, he could lose everything, including the chance to do the right thing. The room thick with silence as Jack grapples with the consummation that handing over Matt isn't just a strategic move, but a moral line he's been avoiding. Because despite Matt's crimes, Jack has been using him as influence, a dangerous guard against Newman pressure, and letting go means surrendering control, commodity Jack Abbott despises nearly as important as losing, yet Nick reframes it not as defeat but as leadership, telling Jack that real power comes from knowing when to stop the cycle, when to put people before pride, invoking recollections of times they both failed and paid dearly for it, of lives shattered because someone refused to step back, and in that vulnerable space, Jack eventually cracks, his voice tight as he admits he undervalued Matt, that he believed he could manage him, but now sees the monster he helped produce, and with that admission comes a reticent agreement, Jack setting strict conditions, demanding translucency and protection for those he loves, which Nick accepts without vacillation, because for him the thing is singular neutralize Matt Clark before he destroys another life. The handover itself unfolding with cinematic intensity as Matt, trim and foolhardy, senses commodity is wrong but doesn't completely grasp the magnitude until it's too late, his shock palpable when Jack steps away and allows Nick and the authorities access, the treason cutting deep as Matt realizes the game has ended, his demurs ringing concave against the mountain of substantiation piled against him, and as he's taken down, Genoa City inclusively exhales. Yet the fate is anything but calm, because this decisive act sends shockwaves through every relationship, Phyllis reeling from the counteraccusation.